So, welcome back to A Diary of a Daddy-O. We are on episode 4 of series 4. As you heard in the clip before, we're sponsored by Penny Ledger. Check them out if you have time to. I'm joined by Michael Green, also known as Greenie. I'll probably refer to you as Greenie throughout the podcast. So, yeah, get on board with that ASAP. I'll hand it straight over to you now, mate. Give us a quick, 1 minute, 2 minute synopsis of your current work and life situation. So, what you're doing for work at the moment and your family setup with children.
Hi, Dave. Yeah, thanks for having me. Greenie is a horrible nickname, but unfortunately, I've been cursed with it since about 10 years old. So,
Sticking.
yeah, so my personal situation, I'm married for 5 years now. I've got a daughter who's 18 months. She's officially a Texan, which is something which I thought that I would never, ever say. Um, Work-wise, I've got 13 years recruitment experience. I started in London, recruiting for investment banks. Got the opportunity to move to Philadelphia to open up an office for a company in tech. I then got the chance to move to Dallas and run an office for them. And recently, in April, I left to start up my own recruitment company called Unico. So we are experts in niche IT recruitment. We focus on placing the top 3% in the US. And 6 months in, it's all going well. Touch wood.
Fantastic, mate. You're talking about being a parent or the business.
Both, I guess. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, mate, thank you very much for that. So, I've known you for a long time now as well. Obviously, I lived in London when you were working working for that company in London. And then, what was it that actually sort of was made you move to America? What was like the driving force behind it? What made you go, you know what, I actually quite fancy this?
So I've always loved traveling. I traveled after university. I was lucky to go on holiday as a kid. I went to Camp America a few times. Always loved America. Never actually planned to move to America, but then my boss at the time back in London became CEO of my previous employer, and then he offered me the opportunity to move to America and help open up the office in Philadelphia for them. Luckily, my girlfriend, who is now my wife, also worked at the same company. She was also a great recruiter. So the company actually offered for both of us to move to America. So one day we both just sat down, thought about it, looked at each other, and said, "Right, let's do it." And the initial plan was to move there for 18 months.
Hmm.
And the whole time, which is right, we're going to get there, just enjoy it for 18 months. And then the kind of 18-month mark came by, and then they said, right, let's extend it. It basically got extended and extended and extended to the point where my visa expired and they gave us a green card, which was an absolute blessing. So,
Brilliant. So, what was the conversations like with both your family and Leanne's family to say, like, look, did you consult with them first, or did you just sit them down and go, look, we've made a decision, we're off to America, sort of deal with it?
um, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, I remember calling my parents when the idea was kind of seriously floated past me, and it's well, go and figure it out, and obviously have the conversations. I then went down to see the new CEO, and he gave me an offer which I couldn't refuse. And basically called mum and said, "Right, that's it. Yeah, I'm going." So the move date is September. The visa appointment is in August. Leanne's coming as well, and that was it really. I was lucky that my family were really really supportive of it.
Hmm.
I think my mom deep down was really hoping that this would be an 18-month thing and not a now 8-year thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, luckily the family were supportive. Friends were supportive. At the time, Philadelphia is only a 8-hour flight away, so it was nothing really. Yeah.
Do you see yourself coming back? Is that a too hard hitting question?
Do you know what, Dave? I so about it was about 3 years ago, my wife and I seriously considered moving back,
Yeah.
and we sat there together. We looked at houses in Oxford together,
Hmm.
Birmingham, London, and the company persuaded us to stay for another 2 years, and basically offered us the green card at that point. So, well, yeah, that's a good thing to get. We might as well. We've now got a house in Dallas together. Our daughter was born here. I think now that we're pretty much settled in Dallas. The
Yeah.
weather's great, the people are great, the business is now based in Dallas. And again, the flight is only like 9 hours, 10 hours. So we tend to fly back like 3 times a year. So
Was that part of the conversation? Like, I know you said 3 years ago, and your little one's now 18 months old. Did you sort of have that same conversation at the time, being like, if we stay, it's most likely going to be we're having a family over here in America, rather than going right, we're going back to the UK to look to start a family.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So when we were talking about moving back to England, um, that was mainly a big talking point of, do we want to have a family in America? Is it the right move for our children? We then started looking at some houses around here just to get a feel for it. Fell in love with a house, and the whole thing just kind of snowballed. I think a part of us felt that all the drama which we went through to get a visa and then a green card to stay here, which took us, the visa takes 6 7 months. The green card took 5 years to get. Yeah, it's crazy. So then a part of us thought that uh, if the kids are born in America, they get dual citizenship. They can live in America or back in the UK if needed. So
Mm-hmm.
our daughter Florence now has a US and a UK passport. So
Crazy, very good. It sounds like a pretty logical, good decision to stay over there and enjoy it. What did the parents say about that? How are you handling that so far? Obviously, like the first 18 months is quite how do I put it? Obviously, Brody's nearly 2 now as well. It's quite hands on in terms of like
yeah.
little ones need quite a lot of attention. How do the grandparents get on with like coming over and you coming back over and seeing like the changes quite happen quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Luckily, our parents are able to fly over quite a bit.
Yeah.
So like my parents come every year for a month. They've been a couple of times. Um, it is really hard for them, I think, to obviously that they see her at say Christmas and she's this developed, and they see her 6 months later and like she has changed completely. I imagine that obviously you've seen this with Brody as well, right? They
Hmm.
change every single day. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely mad. Like my obviously my parents, for people on the podcast that might not know, they live in Wales and Manchester. It's not quite America to England, but even they say they don't see it Brody for like whether it's 3 weeks or something. It's like the massive milestones that just keep popping up, whether the speech is just developed or like their sort of like cognitive thinking. It's madness and doesn't really always come across on a Zoom call or a FaceTime, does it? But then when you see someone in person, you're like, I mean, heck, that is a massive change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The whole thing is crazy. I would say that one of the biggest challenges which we've had is probably not having that support network. Obviously, kind of
Mhm.
just dropping your kid off to the grandparents or babysitters on tap or just the kind of on hand help and support.
Yeah.
It's probably made my wife and I stronger together. We are definitely obviously a real partnership where now we have to balance it properly, and we have to obviously not rely on people around us.
I mean, we're in a very, very similar boat to that. It's like you sort of, not that we've ever had the ability to do that, but maybe some people might take it a little bit for granted to be now, oh, I just need to go to the doctors for half an hour. I can just drop off your little one, Florence or Brody, to someone. We can't. It's like you have to sort of, you really are a team and a partnership, and you've got to be pulling in the same direction. And this is where, like, again, I said to you before the podcast started that one of the main reasons of this is to try and draw similarities between working relationships and like being a parent, because you have to be on the same page. I know you haven't got a co-founder in the new business, but you'd have seen it in your previous employer where there's like management, if they don't work together, it can cause massive, massive problems. I've been partial to that in a previous business, like, well, as an employee, where you see like people high up in the business are just on a completely different pages and things crumble quite quickly. And I think being parents, you've really got to be on that same page, especially if you don't have that local close support, which you don't have over there in America.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, of course, we are husband and wife and all that goes with that. But then I think that then starting a business and obviously having a child as well, um, without the support network around you, you really do build this kind of like this really strong partnership where obviously I support her, she supports me when needed. You're flexible with each other,
Hmm.
um, as I say, touch wood, it's going pretty well so far.
So, so at the moment, Leanne's working within the business as well. Is that how it's? You guys are
No, so Leanne is now working full time still at our previous employer. So Leanne and I
okay.
worked together for the last 8 years, both at my first employer, second employer. So Leanne's still working there full time, and then obviously I'm now working at home for Unico. Um,
Well, so you really are two working parents juggling it all.
yeah, yeah. The biggest challenge comes when daycare calls up and says, right, Florence has a temperature. Somebody has to pick her up. So it's like, well, what's your calendar like? What's my calendar like? Who's going to go and
Yeah,
get her? It's yeah, it's a challenge.
it's tough, tough, tough. What? How? I guess big question to ask now is like, at what point did you go right? I'm gonna take the step to start my own business. Had it been something that had been like in the pipeline for a while, in like inside you thinking I'm gonna go and do this at some point, and like what was the trigger to go? You know what? Now's the time to do it.
Yeah. So I had always wanted to start my own company. My dad um, um, was a business owner of two companies back in Birmingham. So obviously, talk around the dinner table was always about business, and I've always loved business. And so I always knew I wanted to do it. And I had a really good job. It paid well. I managed a large office for the company here in Dallas, and it just got to the point where we we had decided to stay in America. We got the green card, we got the house, obviously had Florence, and at that point there was really nothing holding me back. It was like, well, what am I waiting for, really?
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of waited a bit because the economy was struggling. The IT market in particular was struggling. And it got to the point where then people around me were starting their own businesses,
Hmm.
and I was kind of sat there working my 50, 60 hours a week for my previous employer, and the people around me were going and starting up recruitment companies. Oh, this is just crazy.
Yeah,
It got to the point where I wasn't really happy in my previous job. It kind of felt like my progression was limited. So yeah, I took the plunge. Obviously, I was lucky to have a really supportive wife, really supportive family. My dad's been fantastic, helping me a lot, giving great advice. I basically planned the business, and I've basically got people around me to basically support the vision for Unico and also the things I want to do.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's all working out so far, but 6 months is still very early days.
yeah. It's like being a parent though. The time flies, doesn't it? Myself and John spoke the other day, and we are like, I said to him, "Oh God, we've had a good first 4 months, haven't we?" And he went, "It's been 7." I went, I went, what? He's like, you blink and you miss it. But how are you finding sort of? Obviously, I've started a few businesses now, and like the early days, you are sort of pedaling fast on everything to try and get things going, and then like later down the line, a lot of that sort of hard work starts to pay off. How are you finding juggling how many hours you're having to put in to get things moving versus obviously trying to still be as present as possible even throughout the week, not just the weekends?
Do you know what? That has been the biggest challenge, I think. Um, right? Like from day one, you are a million miles an hour. You got to get the sales in, the revenue, bring the customers on, all the operational stuff, the forward planning. Um, and I am pretty driven and motivated to achieve certain goals and grow and scale Unico.
Hmm.
To the point where I've paid rent for an office in January, just so that then forces me to hire people for January rather than keep
Yeah,
delaying it and delaying it. So balancing the two has been really difficult.
yeah,
Um, Luckily, I'm a morning person, so I tend to get up really early and basically put the shift in before sorting Florence out for daycare. Take a break, obviously sort Florence out, see Leanne, then obviously work my normal day.
hmm,
I then take like a 2 hour break. Always cook dinner every night for the family. And obviously that time then is just for the family. Phones upstairs, laptops off, doesn't matter what's going on. Put Florence to bed, and then I normally work in the evening as well through to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's always been a struggle though, just kind of really balancing it because as a founder as well, I'm always conscious: am I doing enough to be successful? Right, and that is so hard to balance.
that's a really good question to ask yourself, because like when you start your own business, I mean, even when you're employed as well, there's never you've finished a job. Like you can place one person in the job for you, but then you're like, well, there's thousands of more placements that could be done. So you sort of always moving and moving, thinking, well, I could do more. It's the same for me and John at the moment. It's like we're signing up clients and things, and it's like, well, there's so many more clients. Like if I don't go out and try and do some outreach, am I missing out? And then you have to sort of remind yourself of actually what is enough before it starts getting to the point of it eats into other parts of your life. Like you said, those 2 hours at night time where you cook your dinner, no phones, no laptops, and then try and put that boundary in place to make sure that actually the phone doesn't come out one day and then next week it's 2 days and then it starts slipping. Before you know it, you've lost those sort of boundaries that you've put in place to try and make sure that family is essentially coming first. Because I know we spoke about it on WhatsApp a little bit earlier this week as well. And it's like the priority is you're working essentially to provide for the family. So if you're working too much and not seeing the family, what is actually the point?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think at first I went too hard on the business, and about 3 months in, I kind of stopped and realised, and then put in these kind of like parameters where it's like, no, no, this is family time, this is work time. It's a bit like the weekends, right? Like I will get up early on a Saturday, Sunday, work probably like 5 a.m. through till 10 a.m., right? And then 10 a.m. stop. Whatever's happening, just stop, and then the rest of the weekend is family time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's. I think for any founder of a business, that will always be a struggle, right? Where how do you actually break things up and actually make sure that your wife and children are obviously getting the right amount of time from you?
I've had a few people say similar things to what you've just said there. That it's like 5 till 7, the phone goes in the drawer, no matter what happens. And I've had people maybe a little bit more like myself that like, because I see Brody quite a lot throughout the day because he's only in nursery one day a week. So he's always around the house that I'll spend 3 hours in the middle of the day with him and then I'll jump onto some work. And then I haven't necessarily had to put concrete boundaries in place because it's been so fluid at the moment. It's working okay for us and managing quite well. Obviously, Jess is my wife's freelance, self-employed as well, so her schedule's sort of intertwined with mine. But some people, like yourself, have said like, no, that is those times in the day is categorically no phones, no work. I am laser focused on that's my time to be with the kids, which is brilliant. And that you have to do it, don't you? Have you put anything not as hard hard barriers as like time blocking, but anything with Leanne in terms of like we have to make sure we go on a date night. We have to make sure that there's time for me and you away from being mum and dad.
That's a great question. Yeah. At the minute, it's been quite ad hoc, just where like if we feel like we need a date night, we get the babysitter around and we go and do something, or obviously special events. We started doing on a Friday, like a Friday happy hour, where it's probably starts at like 4 o'clock. We go together for like an hour and a half before picking up Florence, and just even have a soft drink together, right? And we just hang out for an hour and a half. We've actually just been putting the ideas together to do a date night every other probably like Wednesday, right? Where it's like we
No,
just go out together, and it might be go for a long walk, or just go to the pub, or it might be go to the cinema or something, right? It's whatever it is, just to make sure that then we have some time together,
mm,
because that's also the difficult thing for us, right? It's like you got the work and children balance, but also the work and relationship balance with your husband or wife.
I don't know if you've ever seen like Married at First Sight in the UK, but there's a guy called Paul Brunson who he's got his own podcast now, and I think he said I watched one last week, and he said work, or is it career, relationship, and I think the other one might be like your health. All three of them can't be at like optimum at the same time. One of them will always suffer because
Yeah,
if you're absolutely hammering work while trying to maintain a really good relationship with your partner, there's a good chance you haven't got the time for going for runs and hitting the gym. Or if you're training really hard and spending time with the wife, most likely that time's going to creep into your work time. And I thought it's quite interesting because when Brody came, I was quite an avid gym goer. Used to run loads, played loads of football. My gym just pretty much came to a stop, and that's one thing that I've struggled now to pick back up is that I'm trying so hard to balance mine and Jess's time together, and then start multiple new businesses and do the Daddy-O podcast at the same time. It's like the health and fitness side of thing is where I struggle with, and trying
yeah.
to find that little bit of time for that for me is I'm still struggling with, to be honest with you. How do you get on with the gym or trying to stay as fit as possible?
Yeah, so for years I've always gone to like hit classes, you know, like kind of Barry's boot camp or whatever. Um, so I still manage to go at least 3 times a week, and I go to the 5 a.m. class again. So obviously, Florence, Leanne are sleeping,
Yeah,
so they hold a class 5 till 6 every single day, and I go to at least 3 times a week. Um, for me, that's been a real stress reliever as well, though.
mhm.
No matter how tired I am or I don't feel like working out that day, whatever it is, I basically drag myself to the gym at least 3 times a week. Go to the class. I haven't got to think. Somebody just screams at me and basically tells me what to do. Basically, just work out for the hour. And I always feel better, like mentally, right?
Yeah,
I come back from the gym, I feel far better. My day at work is far better. So that's been a real help to me. I actually watched your episode with Brad Lambert, and he talked about that like every Tuesday or something, he has his COD sessions, and his wife will,
yeah,
go upstairs and just do that. That's a bit like me in the gym, right? I just go 3 times a week, and that's just like an hour for me just to go and basically sort myself out, look after my health and fitness.
that's good.
Um, yeah, it's good. Yeah,
You have to find something 100% where you are detoxed from work and you're detoxed from being a parent. I go to Man City once or twice a week, which obviously is my sort of well, I struggle a little bit with the gym. I go swimming probably twice a week, which is where I can't physically be on my phone. That allows me to like
yeah.
not be checking emails and stuff. But Man City is where I get to go and think I'm not thinking about being a dad right now. I'm not thinking about email or clients and stuff. And obviously, if you're getting in at 5 o'clock in the morning and being screamed at, there's no chance that your brain's going to be thinking about work or anything else, which is, yeah, it's good. And it's absolute necessity, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I actually bought a Whoop when I started Unico just to like basically keep track of your health and whatever. That's been an absolutely amazing thing to use. You check it every day, checks your heart rate and your sleep and everything. That's really really helped me actually.
Brilliant. If anyone's listening at Whoop, can send us a few products over.
Yeah,
We'll take those, mate.
I'm endorsing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Not sponsored that one. What's been the biggest surprise for you since you've become a parent?
um, this sounds probably absolutely mental, right? But I probably didn't realize how much that my entire life, day to day, week to week, month to month, would change. Um, Everything which we do as parents now all revolves around the child. It's always obviously the first thing you think about. Um, Everything changes. And I don't think, again, kind of tying back to the business side, until you actually do it, nobody really understands what it takes, right? And um, we are literally on every day from the second that Florence wakes up until the second she goes to sleep, and obviously just like every parent, right? It's you don't realize that though until it's you.
Yeah, there's no off button with a child, is there? You're constantly either worried or planning or having to think of time schedules and food and sleep and stuff. And I've found at times that like you can get a bit of brain fog if you don't take a step back and try and relax a little bit from time to time because it is so. full on 100 miles an hour all the time, that they are they need you for everything, don't they? Until they get to a certain age where people say, oh yeah, then they'll start playing with themselves a little bit more, and you'll get a bit of like your free
Yeah,
time back. But at the age they're at now, Florence and Brody, there's a lot of time required from us, isn't there?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know about Brody, but Florence is now going into the kind of toddler phase, terrible twos. Where now she's now screaming quite a lot and crying quite a lot, and hates the word no. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's been a challenging couple of weeks, but I just think it's amazing how no matter how frustrated you get or how tired you are, you just love them absolutely unconditionally, right? And it's
mm.
whatever they need. This a tiny person, you're there for them. Um, and again, I just think it's. I had no idea until I actually became a parent. Obviously, what the whole thing entails.
You're a country fan now, aren't you? Country music fan.
Absolutely love it. Yeah,
You
unbelievable.
listen to Luke Combs' album about being a parent.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
That, I mean, some of the lyrics in there, you listen to them, you think, bloody hell, they are like he just nails the sort of the things you think when you like your kid runs through the door, you run through the door. It makes everything worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah. Actually, Jordan Davis has that song. I think with Luke Combs it might be where they just go through the whole kind of like life of a child. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up. Yeah.
do it, mate. Next question for you. Since obviously becoming a parent yourself, has your relationship changed at all with your parents, and sort of like how you view them? I know some people have said previously on podcasts that obviously once you become a parent, because probably you're at an age where you're probably the most, for some people, not everyone, you're most distant from your parents because you're so busy with work, you've got a partner, you're married, that you don't spend as much time speaking to your parents. Then obviously when you become a parent, some people have said they end up like almost reattaching to their parents, not just because they're a grandparent to your child, but because you have like a newfound respect for everything they went through and did for you.
That's a great question, actually. I've always been close to my parents. We've always hung out, always spoken regularly, been away together. I think especially since moving to America, that they come here for like long stints of time as well. Um, I probably have a lot more of a newfound respect for what they went through when I was a kid, and obviously then kind of moving on to be a teenager and everything else. I wouldn't say that the relationships changed. It's more just like a new understanding of like that they went through all of this with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I had my dad on the podcast like last series and was speaking to like him a little bit and trying to understand like how different it must have been back then, because obviously our generation has gone through internet, mobile phones, TVs, like to a whole new world. They had to do it all without any of that. Don't know if you and Leanne are similar, but if like Florence is ill, you go straight on Google, or you'll ask someone on WhatsApp. My dad said when you were ill, we couldn't even ring our parents because it'd be in the night, they'd be asleep. You can't go on the internet and think, oh, he's got a temperature or a rash. Like it's like a different world they went through. So like my respect for them is definitely increased once we became a parent.
Yeah, massively. Yeah, yeah. You're spot on. I mean, we use apps for everything and Google everything, and like it's just
It's mad at it. What bit of advice, if any, did you get before becoming a parent? 'Cause obviously, I know a lot of your friends had kids before that they gave you that you think bloody hell that was bang on, or if you had any bad advice that you thought, what the hell were they on about?
good question. Yeah, you're testing me. Um, of
Don't
course.
name drop either.
Yeah, of course. You obviously get all of the kind of normal generic advice around health and well-being and whatever. I think that kind of going back to the parents thing, that things were very different back in their day, where that they did things very differently to what now that the doctors tell us to do, or the apps tell us to do, or even Google tells us to do. Definitely social media. Probably the best advice I had was just that everything will be okay. and just enjoy it, right? You know that no matter what's going on or how stressful it is, or you can't work something out, just enjoy it because the days go by real quick, but the months and the years just absolutely fly by.
Yeah,
And I see pictures of Florence now, back when she was a month old versus 18 months. Like it is scary.
yeah, yeah. It's I fully agree with that. It's the similar advice I got on my wedding day from someone. They said take 10-15 minutes because the wedding day is so like full on again. Like being a parent, everything's just at 100 miles an hour. Take 10-15 minutes just for you and Jess, just to stand with each other and just sort of like take it in. And I think it's similar to being a parent. It's like the advice is just try and take all of it in, especially that like first few weeks, because it was a mad couple of weeks when you first have a baby. You feel almost a little bit like of an out of body experience. I don't know if it's the same for you, but you feel a bit drunk because everything's just so new and like you're on such a high from the adrenaline. Good advice to just try and take it in as much as you can and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree.
What what advice now being a parent of 18 months, what advice would you give to a dad, specifically a dad that is looking to maybe start his own business at the same time like you have and made two massive life changes?
Yeah. Um, so I actually waited until Florence was 12 months old to start my business. Obviously, I knew the first 12 months how much work it would be, and you obviously get stability from your full time job. So that's probably my first bit of advice. If I was trying to do it, kind of right at the same time, or 3 months after, or 6 months after, that would be exceptionally difficult.
Yeah.
Um, I would advise to get a real solid plan for your business in place, which sounds really obvious. And of course, we all write business plans and whatever, right? But I spend a lot of time to make sure that my plan and my go-to-market strategy was really good, so that then when I was trying to balance Florence and family life with starting the business, I had a really solid plan to lean back on. I also made sure that I was in a financially stable position where I had more than enough capital to pay my bills for 12 months and to fund the start of the business. So that then I wasn't having the stress or worries or pressures of, again, family life and paying for all that a baby comes and trying to make ends meet with the business.
Yeah.
So that really alleviated some stress. Um, And I think then probably the final bit is just go absolutely all in on everything, right? Like I am like 100 miles an hour, 100% in on absolutely everything I do. So whether it's my wife, my daughter, or the business, I'm not there really trying to balance and fit it all into just like a 9 to 5, right? Like I'm
Hmm.
just going all out on all three aspects
Yeah.
to make everything work, right? And of course, you got to sleep and get rested. And health's really important. Your well-being, hence the gym and the whoop, right? But I think that to make it a success, you've got to be 1,000% committed every single day, um, and eventually things will work out.
Yeah. If you're going for it, you've got to go at it 100%, haven't you?
Yeah.
Have you do I remember you saying that you've had or have had some sort of like use business mentors or anything like that to sort of help you with making decisions, or is that have I got that wrong?
I have, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've actually partnered with a company called Recruit Hub. Shout out to Edmund Blog. These guys are absolutely fantastic. They've been a real help to me. My dad has been a real support. Um, he's just somebody who I can just call and just bounce ideas off, get his soundboard and things. Obviously, he's kind of been there and done it and seen it, and he's
Hmm.
very logical and sensible with stuff. He says, sometimes he says, "Michael, go for it." Sometimes he says, "Michael, slow down a little bit." Right?
Hmm.
That's been really helpful. And I think then just I've basically then the bits which I'm not good at, I know that I'm not good at. Now, I might get better at them over time, but I've basically outsourced anything I can to experts, obviously weighing in cost and that sort of stuff, right? But I basically put around the business people who are really good at certain aspects which I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm close to signing up a non-executive director who has experience within the IT markets. He's currently a CISO at a company. So that's really exciting. So I'm basically taking as much information as possible from as many people to help the business be successful.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. I think back to when we first started 304, which was a long time ago now, and we took no next to none advice from anyone because we never really set out for it to be a business. Like you've obviously gone through the process of like, I am going to create this business. I've got experience. Let me try and feed off this knowledge of people around that can help. We were the total opposite. We were like, we've made some sort of product, we'll sell it, but if it is it going to be a business? And then we sort of had to play catch up. And now I think back to like starting the new businesses now, we know exactly what we need to do from a service proposition wise, product wise, costing, finance, everything. And it feels different this time round to the first time because we're starting a lot more on a solid base, which I think is a well, my best advice to give anyone if they were starting a business would be similar to you, is like try and take information off people as possible and just be prepared. And when you are ready, jump in with 2 feet, go all in, and it will pay off. It's not easy, but it will pay off.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, spot on.
My next question for you was, what's the plans next for the business? But I think you've pretty much just touched on quite a bit there. You've signed on an office. You're looking to hire some new people in the new year. Anything else you wanted to add to sort of where you see things going and plans for the next couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my vision for Unico is to be one of the best staffing companies in America, right? And we see all of these companies shoot up, they grow really quickly. I've seen the really good sides of recruitment, the really ugly sides of recruitment. So I'm hell bent on making sure that Unico stick to recruitment practices, but that we do it better, right? So we always put our customers first. Internally, people love coming to work. People want to work. People want to be massively successful. My job then is to then give these people the platform to go and be successful. So I am. Next phase is I've got an office opening in January. I'm looking to hire 3 really solid recruitment consultants in Dallas, um, and then from there it's just growth. I want to get to at least 30 recruitment consultants inside 3 to 5 years, obviously depending on what happens. I'm not in a mad rush to kind of grow aggressively. It has to be the right conditions, but I want to grow the business and I want to get to a point where my customers in the market are looking at Unico and saying these guys are the best in the business.
Brilliant, mate. Well, I think that's probably a pretty good point to wrap up the podcast, mate. Unless there's anything else you wanted to tell any future or existing dads, that a little bit of nugget of advice.
I think I kind of summed it up well earlier.
Yeah,
Any dads out there who are thinking of starting up a business, my experience inside 6 months, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm probably working harder than ever. I'm definitely stressed. I'm definitely tired, but it is absolutely all worth it. You can definitely balance your family life, your personal life, your interest, and the business, and still be successful. Obviously, for me, I'm only 6 months in, so fingers crossed that continues. But just go for it.
brilliant. Well, thank you very much for hopping on the podcast, mate. Really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. I've put all your links to LinkedIn, the website, in the description of the podcast. So if people want to go and have a little look, feel free to do it. Greeny is very good on LinkedIn and puts out a lot of knowledge on there and some interesting posts. So definitely follow him and check him out. Thank you very much, mate.
Cool. Cheers, Dave. Appreciate it.
Brilliant.